scariest stories are whispered, not told.
I've been running my YouTube channel, Urban Myths Uncovered, for almost 3 years now. When I started, I never thought anyone would care about one guy wandering around at night with a camera, looking for shadows and old stories. But here I am, nearly 500,000 subscribers, a growing Patreon, and a mailbox full of suggestions for what to investigate next. People love a good scare, I guess. I call myself a skeptic on camera. That's my gimmick. I'll find the truth, I say, every episode, even if it means proving the legend wrong. But the truth is, deep down, I'm not sure anymore what I believe. Some of the places I've been, they didn't feel like nothing. It was one of my subscribers, a Japanese girl named Aiko, who first messaged me about Kuchisake Onna. "You should come to Japan," she wrote. "You think you're so brave, but if you really want to know fear, meet her." She sent me an address in Saitama, said it was an old abandoned playground where people had seen her as recently as last month. Kuchisake Onna, the Slit-Mouthed Woman. Even I had heard of her. The story goes, she appears at night wearing a surgical mask, beautiful, quiet, and then she asks, "Am I pretty?" If you say no, she kills you. If you say yes, she removes the mask, and you see what's underneath. The stories differ about what happens next, but it's never good. I booked a flight a week later. I landed in Tokyo in the late afternoon, took a train north to Saitama, and then a taxi to the outskirts. It was already dark when I arrived at the playground. I set up my camera on a tripod and did my usual intro. All confidence and fake smiles for the viewers. "This is Urban Myths Uncovered," I said, "and tonight we're proving once and for all, Kuchisake Onna, just another story to scare kids. Nothing more." I hit record, took a deep breath, and stepped past the old rusted swing set. The ground crunched under my shoes. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. And then, silence. The place was creepier than I expected. The swings creaked in the faint wind. The slide was bent and streaked with rust. Everything was wrong somehow. Too quiet, too still. I walked the perimeter, shining my flashlight into the trees. My breath was already fogging in the air, even though it wasn't that cold. "Nothing here," I muttered into the camera. "Just a playground. No ghost ladies yet." But as I turned back toward the swings, I froze. Someone was sitting there. A woman. She wore a long beige coat and a white surgical mask. Her black hair hung in sheets, hiding most of her face. I could feel my heart start to pound. "Hello," I called out, my voice cracking slightly. She didn't answer. She just sat there, rocking gently back and forth on the swing. I forced myself to walk closer, my camera still rolling. Are you okay?" The swing slowed. She tilted her head slightly, just enough for me to see the edge of her mask curve into what looked like a faint smile. And then she spoke. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Am I pretty?" I froze. Every hair on my body stood on end. For a second I thought about running, but the camera was still rolling, and something, maybe pride, maybe stubbornness, kept me rooted in place. "Yes," I said. "You're pretty." Her head tilted the other way, and her hand reached up to the mask. She pulled it down, and I saw what was underneath. Her mouth stretched impossibly wide, torn open from ear to ear. Jagged teeth glinted in the faint light, her lips ripped and bleeding, her tongue impossibly long and dark. She grinned at me, her eyes sparkling with something like joy. Then she stood. Even now, she whispered. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Her grin widened, and then she stepped toward me. I finally snapped. I turned and ran, the camera clattering to the ground, still recording. I don't know how long I ran, or in what direction. Branches whipped at my arms and face. My breath burned in my lungs, but I didn't stop. Not until I saw the faint glow of streetlights through the trees. When I finally stumbled back to the road, there was no one around. No sound but the distant hum of traffic. I collapsed onto the curb, gasping for breath. And when I looked back toward the trees, she was standing there at the edge, watching. Her mask was back in place, her head tilted, and then she raised a hand and waved. I left Japan the next morning. I uploaded the footage, what little there was, when I got home. The video blew up. Millions of views, thousands of comments. Some said I faked it. Some said I was lucky to be alive, but the one that stuck with me was from Aiko. You met her, she wrote. She let you go, but she remembers you now, and she doesn't forget. I don't sleep much anymore. Every time I close my eyes, I see her standing there. And sometimes, when I walk home late at night, I hear her voice behind me, soft, gentle. Am I pretty? I've never really believed in curses. Not in any serious way, at least. I always figured all that stuff, hexes, bad luck charms, haunted objects, was just superstition. But I don't think that anymore. Not after what happened with the coin. It started with a dare. A few of my friends and I were on a road trip through New England, taking a week off work to see the fall colors and hit as many weird roadside attractions as we could. The highlight of the trip, or so I thought at the time, was going to be the stop in Monroe, Connecticut. The Warrens' Occult Museum. You've probably heard of it. It's where Ed and Lorraine Warren kept all the haunted and cursed objects they'd collected over decades of paranormal investigations. Annabelle the doll, the shadow doll, satanic altars, weird totems, stuff like that. I'd read about it online for years. So when my best friend, Tyler, grinned at me from behind the wheel and said, "You know what would really impress me? If you actually took something from in there," I laughed. "You can't just take something," I told him. But the seed was planted. By the time we pulled up outside the unassuming little house, I was already thinking about what it would be like to have some kind of story to tell afterward. Something no one else could claim. The tour was uneventful at first, the guide reciting her memorized speech, as we filed past glass cases and locked cabinets. But near the end, we came to a little wooden table, empty, except for a single, tarnished silver coin. It was just lying there, no sign, no lock. The guide didn't even seem to notice it as she moved us along. I don't know what came over me, but as we passed by, I palmed it, slipped it into my pocket like it was nothing. The trouble started the next morning. I woke up feeling like I hadn't slept at all, heavy, groggy, cold. When I opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was the coin sitting on the nightstand. I don't even remember putting it there. It looked darker than before, like it had aged overnight. When I picked it up, it felt warm. That day was a blur. Everywhere we went, I felt like someone was following me. I kept catching glimpses of a figure in the corner of my eye, tall, dark, indistinct. but every time I turned, there was nothing there. That night, I dreamed of it. I was lying in bed, unable to move, and the figure was standing at the foot of the bed. It whispered something I couldn't make out, and then it reached toward me. When I woke, the coin was resting on my chest. By the third day, I was desperate. I called my dad. He's a minister, has been for almost 30 years, and the most level-headed man I know. When I told him what I'd done, there was a long pause on the line. "You still have it?" he finally asked. "Yes," I said. "Don't touch it anymore. I'll meet you at the church. Bring it to me." When I got there, he was already waiting, a Bible open on his desk. He didn't even let me cross the threshold with it. "Put it on the step," he said. I did, and then I saw his hands trembling as he flipped through the pages, murmuring prayers under his breath. The air grew colder, the lights flickered, and the coin slid across the step on its own. He pressed his palm over it, closed his eyes, and prayed louder. It felt like the whole church was holding its breath. And then, finally, the lights stopped flickering. The air warmed again. My dad picked up the coin with a pair of tongs, dropped it in a little cloth bag, and tied it tight. "Take it back," he said. "Now." The next morning, I drove back to Monroe. The whole way there, I felt like something was watching me from the back seat. When I finally pulled up outside the Warrens Museum, the place looked the same as before. Quiet, unassuming, just another house on just another street. But when I walked in, the woman at the front desk looked up immediately. "You have something that doesn't belong to you," she said flatly. I nodded and set the bag on the counter. Her lip curled just slightly, like she was holding back a smirk. Then she took it and disappeared into the back room. I didn't stick around. I didn't ask questions. I just drove home, feeling lighter than I had in days. But even now, weeks later, I sometimes wake up in the middle of the night, feeling cold. And every now and then, I swear I can hear that whisper again, just faintly, like someone standing just outside my bedroom door.